Call the meeting to order. If you'll please stand, Pam's going to lead us in the pledge and Terry with invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord God, we're just so thankful and grateful for your grace and your what you've done in this community with the school system the last several years. And we just pray that know that we can trust you, Father, for the future you have planned for this. We just pray that you lead the leaders and let the leaders of this corporation lead in a way that just continues to grow this corporation. They're just going to increase the blessings in the community, Father, with students being trained and taught and educated, Father, in a way that will just come back and tell you so many good things. It's in Christ's name we pray.
And Beth will be appointed as our executive secretary. Thank you. Roll call. Adam.
Present.
Andy.
Present.
Kevin.
Present.
Terry.
Present.
Let the record reflect all 5 board members are present, and we do have a quorum. I'm not aware of any condolences. Recognitions, we want to congratulate the Henryville High School Band in their 8th place finish at the state this past weekend. Recognizing them and the great job that they do year in and year out and this year. Any presentations?
No.
Beth, do we have anyone sign up for community input?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Superintendent's report?
No, apologies, sorry. Go right into this, right?
Okay. Nope.
I'm sorry, I didn't have anything, no.
Okay. Board discussion, item this evening, the discussion of the tentative CBA agreement.
Yeah, and I just want to start with thanking, I know we've got a couple representatives here, Sarah and Pam, and their excellent work in doing their part to put this together, and it was, I didn't know that I'd ever say this, it was actually a pleasurable experience doing negotiations. You guys were great, really, really appreciate your hard work, and you do an excellent job of representing all the teachers in the district, so nice job, ladies. But overall, board, this is the, as presented in front of you, I'll read for those in attendance and those that are streaming in this evening. Basically, what I'm about to read tonight is the highlights, which will be any changes to the current contract that is up for tentative agreement. And just to jump ahead, we would have a meeting a week from tonight on the 10th of November at 5:30 for the ratification of what I'm about to read this evening. So it is a 2-year agreement, which I think, and Sarah and Pam, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's maybe something new for the district, or we haven't done in quite some time. It'd be a 2-year agreement. There were some reopening stipulations in there, and I'll read those first. The 2-year agreement can be reopened if our ADM count is below 1695 or above 1720 for school year 2026-27. It can also be reopened if health insurance increase of 5% or less for the 2027 plan year will be shared equally between the corporation and teachers. Also, any health insurance increase of more than 5% for the 2027 plan year, which would open the 2026 CBA. Salary proposal for year 1, it would be $3,000 on the base, which that would be for the 25-26 current school year. Apologies, and I may do that a lot, guys, I'm sorry. 19 remaining teachers will receive an adjustment step, $250 to base for completed literacy endorsement, and $500 stipend for dual credit teachers. On year 2, which is the 26-27 school year, there'd be $1,500 on the base, a $250 on base for dual credit teachers with $250 stipend, and continued $250 on base for completed literacy endorsement. One change that we'll notice is in regard to leave, it'd be PTO time, paid time off, instead of specified as sick or personal days. Be 12, this would stay the same, 12 per year, but they would shift to PTO instead of designated between sick and or personal. 3-day consecutive max of days absent or using those PTO days without documentation. Current balance of sick and personal is remaining PTO for 25-26, up to 15 if maxed out. 12 PTO days per year. Unused days move into accumulated sick leave for serious illness, family illness, maternity leave, etc. Move in 5 days per year for out-of-district new hires, goes into an accumulated sick leave, not PTO. Increased buyout from $55 to $70 per day for retirees. That'd be $8,250 to $10,500, which would equal a $2,250 difference. Generally, only 1 or 2 retirees per year. That's not a common occurrence. Proposed PTO language: paid leave would read 12 leave days will be credited annually to each teacher on the first day of the school year. Annual leave days not used will be accumulated to 150 sick leave days. Annual and accumulated leave days may be used for the following: 1, personal illness of teacher; 2, illness occurring in the teacher's immediate family; 3, to conduct personal business. Paid leave number 4, no more than 3 consecutive leave days may be taken at any one time without prior approval by the superintendent. This request should only be used for extending circumstances of which the teacher has no control. Some other language changes, and Sarah and Pam, I don't think there's any major language changes, but just kind of neating things up a little bit. One is correct rehire language and direct compensation to row A, commensurate with degree. Increased buyout from $55 to $70 per day for retirees. Update leave language if switched to PTO. Extend bereavement for spouse, child, and stepchild to 10 days. Add, in quotes, or designee to association leave language. Remove, in quotes, if requested by the committee, in quote, from sick bank language. Corporation will notify if sick bank balance drops below 35 days. Remove disability leave for maternity. Make the language match the practice. Update salary range and scale. Correct and amend factors for base salary increase. Add literacy endorsement base increase in year 2, dual credit increase. Change WCTA to BHTA in the ECA, that's on page 23. Update the pay dates. Form ECA and dual credit committee to meet quarterly. November 15th, 2025, literacy endorsement reporting deadline, August 31st moving forward. December 12th would be the back pay and retro if ratified by the board. And again, I mentioned the ratification meeting would be a week from tonight at 5:30.
Thank you. We will not be voting on this. This is by law a presentation of the changes. Again, we will be voting next week, but do we have any discussion on the items this evening?
I've got a question, and me and Myra talked about it the other day, on the catching the 19 teachers up. Can you explain, so last year, does that mean last year 19 teachers were in theory 1 step behind where they should have been this year? Is that?
What happened was last year, because the new money was so slim, that there was no way, because we still had some teachers that were still 3 years behind, some teachers that were still 2 years behind, and then some that were still 1 year behind. And so to maximize the movement and the money that was there, what we did was, rather than trying to move everybody a step or 2, we got everybody to within 1 year. And so when that happened, that left 19 teachers who were still there was still a 1 year differential from where they would have been to where they should, or where they were to where they should have been. And while we couldn't bargain last year for this year, that would be the last adjustment necessary to make those teachers whole, so to speak.
So last year we paid them, they got paid 1 year less than what they should have been, right? On the scale.
Not exactly. Because at that point, everyone had been adjusted multiple years up to that point. These were just the last group. And that step this year is designed to put them commensurate with other people who have hired in, who like sort of leapfrogged over them, because that was really what the majority of the issue was that we were having people hiring from out of district who were then being sort of moved down the scale, where those who had been here longer were not moving down the scale because money was going on base. And so that's basically what happened. And so they still received their step last year. This is just one final additional step to make sure that their experience and pay is commensurate with the other teachers who would have been in the corporations or who have the same amount of experience.
So they got steps last year, but they were still one
They
step
still need
behind.
one more.
Okay, so in theory, should we go back and pay them for last year?
No, because they received a step last year and almost all of them received at least one additional step,
Okay, but they were still one step behind.
as opposed to 2 or 3.
Right. So my question is, those are the only teachers that we had, which they were here in the West Clark days, I'm assuming, is why they were so far behind. So if, let's say last year, those all 19 were at 12 years experience,
Mm-hmm.
they would have been paid for 11 years experience.
Not exactly, because the pay scale does not equate to years of experience. So really what it was they had not moved down the pay scale. Excuse me. They hadn't moved down the pay scale at the same rate that like a new hire did.
Mhm.
So it doesn't necessarily any longer equate to years of experience. It was adjustments trying to get everyone who's had, say, 16 years of experience
Right.
paid at an equivalent rate.
Right. So last year, if all 19 of them were at 12 and a new hire came in, they were at 13.
No.
No.
The new hires were hired in commensurate with, and that's the difference, is we've managed to stop the leapfrogging. Because up until then, I guess the last language change from the legislature,
Mhm.
right? Our contract specifically states that teachers will be placed commensurate with other teachers who have the
Like-
same degree,
like experience and degree.
all of
Right.
that. That has not always been the case.
Right.
And so what was happening was teachers were getting brought in and being placed substantially further down than teachers who had been with West Clark. And that stopped. Once we separated, we started trying to address that even that first year at the table to try to start moving people to where it was more in line with their experience. And so at this point, given the adjustments we've made over the last 3 years, like the salary growth, even for teachers who had been behind, has been substantial. And still being able to take an additional step. So this is just one more acknowledgement of, like, let's get everybody where they need to be. And so it's not that they necessarily lost a year. I mean, they've gained years of pay that they went years without. Like, we could never make this absolutely perfect. But what we've done is try to adjust that as much as humanly possible to make it to where everyone is being paid at an equivalent and equitable level. Because to give an example, we had a teacher who, when we first started doing this, had 10 years of experience in the corporation, had been in the corporation since their teaching license had wet ink on it, and was still being paid as a third-year teacher. Like, that's the kind of discrepancy we were dealing with. And so, at that point, to get those last handful to where they needed to be last year because of the lack of money, and the corporation put forward a substantial amount of cash balance and new money in order to assist with that catch up, and that's probably not the best term to use at this point. I mean, it's really just adjustments, because we've made so many steps. I mean, that first contract, when we started trying to do this, we had teachers who were 7 years off kilter, and not just one. And so I would argue that, yes, it would have been wonderful if we could have taken all of the 20-some teachers that we had last year that were still off and bring them completely up. But I would also say that, A, we're trying to make that right this year, which we finally had an opportunity to do. And 2, that there have been so many adjustments made up to this point that they've gained more ground than they ever would have had we not, I guess. I mean, there's not ever going to be a way to go back and fully recapture every dollar that we lost over those years. But this has become an example of what other corporations are trying to do. Like what we've done is starting, and so but it takes time.
Okay.
And I know I didn't fully answer
No,
your
I think you
question.
did.
I
I
get
just,
what you're saying.
my thing would be, if it's 19 teachers, if it was just 1 year last year, we're talking it's $1,200 per teacher, right?
Correct. It comes out to about $24,000 total.
Right. So if we wanted to go back and pay them for last year, what they should have been, it would cost us $24,000.
But they
Right.
still received a step last year.
Yeah, but they weren't where they were supposed to be at. I realize they all received their steps, but they were still 1 step behind. I know they got a step last year,
But
but
I'm
we still
saying-
had them behind.
But the majority of them also took additional steps in coupled with that.
Right, but
They got their 1 step plus a makeup step.
right, but they were still 1 step behind. Am I not looking at this right?
But this year they're getting this step and then their final makeup step.
Right. But if there wasn't enough money to give it to them last year, correct?
Correct.
So if there's money this year, can we give them what they should have gotten last year?
But if we did that, then we'd have to go back, we set the precedent, now we have to go back to the previous years and link up those steps too.
That's what I'm trying, yeah. I mean, it would compound
It would be
quickly.
a lot of makeup.
Well, okay. We never had the money. I mean, how do we know we don't have the money to go back and pay them?
I would, if it's, my advice would be, if it's something that we still feel, when we reopen this contract the next month, we still feel it's off base, I would address it then. I think both sides, you guys have been great. I think the corporation, the board has been gracious on their part as well. I think that we're probably at about a max of graciousness as far as salaries go. For this contract.
Any other discussion? And the teachers did ratify this.
Yes, it was ratified by about, at a rate of 96.4,
I'm sorry.
96.4% vote for ratification. And all but, I think we got all but 2 teachers, one was out on leave, I believe, and one was unable to vote. So all but 2 members voted on the ratification.
Any other discussion? And I concur with Dr. Comer's earlier comments regarding how wonderful you all have been to work with and trying to catch everyone up that were frozen those many years in West Park days.
Yeah, you've done a great job representing
And the presentation.
the staff and the corporation both. You've done a great job with that.
If there's no other discussion, then the floor is open for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Kevin, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Adam? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.